My name is Chloe, and I am 25 years old. This is not just a story, it's a scar on my heart. It's the story of how I tried to protect my sister, but instead, I lost her trust. My sister's name is Hannah. She's 2 years older than me. Since childhood, she was not only my sister, she was my best friend. We promised each other that no matter what happened, we would always stand together. But promises, sometimes they break. Sometimes, love breaks them. Hannah got married last year to Michael. Everyone thought he was perfect. He was kind, charming, successful. And Hannah loved him more than anything. But that night, as I sat alone, I felt a truth rising inside me. A truth I never wanted to face. A truth that would change everything between me and my sister. And it all began when I saw the first cracks in Hannah's perfect life. A few days later, I went to visit Hannah and Michael at their home. It was a beautiful house, warm lights glowing through the windows. From the outside, everything looked perfect. When Hannah opened the door, her smile was wide and bright. She hugged me tightly. "Chloe, I've missed you." Her happiness felt real. But her eyes, they carried something I couldn't read. A shadow. A secret. Inside, the table was set. Dinner was ready. Michael sat at the head of the table, dressed neatly, his smile polite. "Chloe," he said, nodding. "It's good to see you." I smiled back, but deep inside, something felt wrong. The way his eyes avoided mine. The way his phone sat on the table, screen glowing, as if it mattered more than Hannah. Hannah served dinner, laughing, talking about her day. I watched her closely. She was glowing with love. But Michael, he was distant. His smile didn't reach his eyes. As I sat there, listening to their voices, one thought began to whisper in my mind. Something isn't right here. Something is hiding beneath this perfect picture. As we ate dinner, I tried to focus on Hannah's laughter. She spoke with so much love, so much hope in her voice. But my eyes kept drifting toward Michael. He barely touched his food. His fork moved slowly, his gaze fixed not on Hannah, not on me, but on the glowing screen of his phone. Every few minutes, it lit up with a new message. And every time, Michael's jaw tightened as he glanced down, his fingers moving quickly. "Work again?" Hannah asked, smiling softly. Michael gave a quick nod. "Yes, work." But his voice was cold. Distant. I watched him carefully. His shoulders were tense. His eyes flickered with something I couldn't name. Guilt or fear. Hannah didn't notice. She kept serving food, talking about plans for the weekend. But I noticed. Every little detail. The way Michael's smile faded the second Hannah looked away. The way his hand gripped the phone like it was a lifeline. Inside me, a small voice whispered. Something's wrong. Something Hannah can't see. I looked at my sister's happy face, her glowing eyes filled with love. And for the first time, fear touched my heart. Fear that her happiness might be built on a lie. Dinner ended, and the night grew quiet. Hannah and I sat in the living room, sipping tea, talking like old times. Her laughter warmed my heart. For a moment, it felt like we were little girls again. But then, Michael's phone buzzed. He was sitting across from us, his face half lit by the lamp. The sound was sharp, breaking the comfort in the room. He glanced at the screen, his eyes changed. Cold. Alert. Without a word, he stood up. "Work call," he muttered, slipping the phone into his pocket. "At this hour?" Hannah asked with a soft laugh, almost teasing. Michael forced a smile, but it was thin, strained. "Clients don't wait for morning." Before Hannah could say another word, he grabbed his jacket and left the room. The front door closed with a heavy click. I turned to my sister. "Hannah, don't you think it's strange?" She shook her head quickly, her smile unwavering, though her hands trembled just a little as she lifted her cup. "It's nothing. Michael works hard. You know that." But her eyes avoided mine. She was defending him, yes. But inside, I saw something she didn't want me to see. Doubt. The house grew quiet again. Too quiet. And in that silence, I felt it. The first crack in Hannah's perfect life. The night stretched on. Hannah yawned softly and went upstairs to rest, leaving me alone in the quiet living room. I couldn't shake the feeling in my chest. Michael's quick exit. The way Hannah forced her smile. Something was wrong. I stood and walked to the window. The curtains were half open, and from there I could see the street below. Minutes passed. Silence. And then, headlights. Michael's car pulled up across the road. But he wasn't alone. A woman stepped out of the shadows. Young. Elegant. Smiling in a way that made my stomach twist. Michael opened the passenger door for her, his hand brushing against hers. The sight hit me like ice. This wasn't business. This wasn't work. They drove away together, the red taillights glowing like a warning in the dark. My knees weakened. My hand gripped the window frame. Tears burned in my eyes. "No. Hannah," I whispered. "You don't deserve this." Behind me, the house was still, peaceful, Hannah asleep upstairs. Dreaming of a love she thought was perfect. And I stood frozen by the window, watching the truth drive away into the night. Knowing that nothing would ever be the same again. As I stood by the window, my tears blurring the streetlights outside. My heart carried me back. Back to when Hannah and I were just little girls. It was summer. The sky was golden, and we were running barefoot through the grass near our old home. Our laughter filled the air, innocent and endless. Hannah had fallen once, scraping her knee. I remember rushing to her, my hands small, my voice trembling as I said, "Don't cry. I'll protect you. I'll never let anyone hurt you." She looked at me with teary eyes but smiled, even through the pain. "And I'll protect you, too, Chloe. Always." We locked our pinkies together, sealing a promise only sisters could understand. A promise to stand by each other. To trust each other. Forever. The memory glowed like sunlight in my chest. But now, standing in her home as an adult, watching the truth about her husband unfold, I felt the weight of that promise heavier than ever. I had to protect her. Even if she didn't want me to. even if she called me a liar. Because Hannah was not just my sister. She was my other half. And I could not let her walk blind into heartbreak. That night, I lay awake in the guest room. The house was quiet, but inside my chest, a storm raged. Michael's face kept flashing in my mind. His smile for the other woman, the way he touched her hand. The lie he carried back into Hannah's life. I buried my face into the pillow, whispering into the dark. What do I do? Should I tell her? Will she even believe me? Every part of me wanted to protect Hannah. But another voice inside whispered. She loves him. She will never believe you. I sat up, pressing my hands against my head. The promise from our childhood burned in my memory. We'll protect each other. Always. Tears slipped down my face. I felt trapped, between truth and silence, between saving her heart and breaking it myself. I whispered to the empty room. If I tell her, I might lose her. But if I stay quiet, she'll lose everything. The clock ticked slowly on the wall, each sound louder than my own heartbeat. And with every tick, I knew the truth. I couldn't keep this secret forever. Sooner or later, I would have to tell Hannah what I saw. The next day, I returned home. I tried to calm my thoughts, tried to convince myself that maybe it was a mistake, maybe what I saw wasn't what it seemed. But then, Hannah arrived. She came to my apartment, her face glowing, her arms carrying a basket of fresh fruit like she always did when she wanted to spoil me. Chloe, she laughed, hugging me tight. Her smile was wide, her eyes shining with joy. We sat at the kitchen table. She talked for hours, about her job, about her plans with Michael, about how much she loved him. Her voice was soft, dreamy, full of love. Michael has been working so hard. I'm so proud of him. I sat across from her, my hands clenched tight under the table. Every word she spoke felt like a knife. Because I knew the truth. I had seen it with my own eyes. But how could I tell her now? How could I destroy the smile on her face, the light in her eyes? I forced a smile, nodding at her stories, even as my chest ached. Inside, my heart whispered again and again. Hannah, he's not the man you think he is. Please, believe me before it's too late. But the words stayed trapped in my throat. And I let her leave that day, still smiling, still blind to the truth. That night, I couldn't hold it in any longer. The image of Michael with that woman haunted me. It followed me into every silence, every thought. So I went to Hannah's house. She welcomed me with her usual smile, but I could barely return it. We sat in the living room. My hands trembled as I held the cup of tea she gave me. I looked at her face, so peaceful, so trusting. And my heart broke. I set the cup down and whispered, my voice unsteady. Hannah, I need to tell you something. And I need you to believe me. She tilted her head, curious, her smile soft. Of course, Chloe. What is it? I took a deep breath, tears already burning my eyes. I saw Michael, with someone else. A woman. He wasn't at work last night. He was with her. The words hung in the air like a storm cloud. The room fell silent. Hannah blinked at me, her smile fading slowly. Her eyes widened, then narrowed, searching my face. What are you saying?" she whispered. I reached out for her hand, desperate. "I'm not lying. I saw it with my own eyes. Please, Hannah, you need to know the truth." But the warmth in her face vanished. Her hand slipped away from mine. Her lips tightened. And for the first time in my life, my sister looked at me as if I were her enemy. Hannah's face hardened. The smile I knew so well was gone. She stood up suddenly, her voice sharp. "Michael would never do that, Chloe. Never." Her words cut through me like glass. I rose to my feet, my hands trembling. "Hannah, I'm telling you the truth. I saw him with her. He was holding her hand. He wasn't working, he lied to you." But Hannah shook her head, her eyes burning with anger. "Stop it. You've never liked Michael. You've always judged him. And now you're trying to break us apart." Tears filled my eyes, but I held my ground. "I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to protect you. Please, Hannah, listen to me." But she turned away, crossing her arms, her voice shaking but strong. "No. You're wrong. You're lying. Michael loves me. I won't let you poison my marriage with your jealousy." Her words shattered me. For the first time in my life, my sister didn't see me as family. She saw me as a threat. The silence between us was heavier than any scream. And in that silence, I felt something breaking. Not Michael's lies. Not Hannah's marriage. But the bond between sisters. I stood frozen, my heart pounding against my chest. Hannah's words cut deep, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't let her believe a lie. My voice cracked as I reached for her again. "Hannah, I'm not lying. Please believe me. I swear on my life, I saw Michael with another woman." Tears rolled down my face, blurring her figure in front of me. I pressed my hand against my chest, shaking. "I'm not jealous. I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want to protect you, because you're my sister. And I love you." But Hannah's eyes stayed hard, her lips trembling with anger. She stepped back, out of my reach, her arms crossed like a wall between us. "No, Chloe. Stop it. You're imagining things. Michael would never do this to me. Never." Her words echoed in the room, cold and sharp. I dropped my hands to my sides, defeated, my tears falling freely now. In that moment, I realized. The more I tried to hold on to her, the further she was slipping away. Hannah's face flushed red. Her eyes glistened with tears, but her voice was sharp, filled with anger. "You know what this is, Chloe," she snapped. "You're jealous. You've always been jealous of me. Of my life. Of Michael." Her words hit me like knives. I stumbled back a step, my lips trembling. "No. Hannah, that's not true." But she didn't stop. Her voice rose, shaking the walls of the house. "You can't stand to see me happy. That's why you're making up these lies. You want to ruin my marriage because you're alone." Tears poured down my cheeks, my chest aching as if it were breaking apart. No, Hannah. I don't want to ruin anything. I just don't want you to get hurt. Please, believe me. Please. But she shook her head violently, her hair falling over her face, her hands trembling with rage. Enough, Chloe. I don't want to hear another word. You're not protecting me, you're betraying me. Her voice cracked on that last word. And in that moment, my heart shattered. The sister who once promised to protect me, now saw me as her enemy. The silence that followed was heavier than her screams. And I realized, nothing I said could reach her now. Hannah's words echoed in my ears. You're not protecting me, you're betraying me. I stood frozen in her living room, tears burning down my face. And in that moment, another memory rose. A memory I had tried to forget. It was a year ago, before their wedding. Our parents had gathered for dinner. Everyone was laughing, talking, sharing stories, until Michael arrived late. He walked in, smiling, but with no explanation. Dad asked gently, Michael, why do you always keep Hannah waiting? She deserves better. Michael's smile vanished. The table fell silent. And then Hannah spoke. Her voice was sharp, defensive. Stop. Don't talk about him like that. Michael works hard. He loves me. You just don't understand him. I remember sitting there, my fork heavy in my hand, watching as she argued not just with Dad, but with all of us. She chose him that night. Over our family. Over me. And even when Michael stormed out, Hannah ran after him, leaving us behind. The memory faded, but the ache in my chest stayed the same. This wasn't the first time Hannah had turned against me for him. But tonight, it hurt more than ever. Because this time, I wasn't just losing her voice. I was losing her trust. And maybe even her love. The house was silent after Hannah's words. Her arms were crossed, her eyes full of fire. And I knew nothing I said could reach her anymore. My throat tightened as I whispered, I only wanted to protect you. But she didn't answer. She just turned her face away, as if even looking at me hurt her. I felt my chest shatter into pieces. The girl who once held my hand when I was scared. The sister who once promised to always believe in me. Now saw me as nothing but a liar. I picked up my bag with shaking hands. Every step toward the door felt heavier than the last. I paused for one final moment, my tears blinding me. I wanted to turn back, to beg her one more time. But I couldn't. Her heart was closed. Her trust was gone. So I opened the door quietly. The night air rushed in, cold against my face. I stepped outside, and as the door shut behind me with a soft click, it felt like more than wood closing. It felt like the door between us had closed forever. Under the dark sky, I walked away, my sobs breaking into the silence. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I had truly lost my sister. The days that followed felt endless. I woke up each morning hoping for a message from Hannah. A call. Even a single word. But there was nothing. I dialed her number again and again. Each time, the phone rang. But she never picked up. I sent her messages, long ones, short ones. Hannah, please, just talk to me. I only wanted to protect you. You're my sister. I love you. But the blue ticks never appeared. It was as if my words were falling into an empty space. At night, I sat by the window, the phone heavy in my hand. I scrolled through our old pictures, smiles, laughter, the bond that once felt unbreakable. And I whispered to the silence. How did we get here, Hannah? How did love turn into this wall between us? The world moved on, but inside me, time stopped. Because the one person I had always trusted, the one person I thought would always trust me, had shut me out completely. And the distance between us grew heavier with every passing day. A week later, I walked through the busy streets of the city. Shops glowed with lights, people hurried past with bags in their hands, the world alive with noise. But inside me, I felt empty. And then, I saw him. Michael. He wasn't alone. Beside him walked the same woman. Her hand slipped easily into his, like it belonged there. And he didn't pull away. They laughed together as if the world was theirs. His face, so cold with Hannah, was warm for her. His eyes sparkled with a joy I had never seen when he was with my sister. I froze in the crowd, my heart hammering in my chest. I wanted to scream. To run up to him. To demand he stop. But my body wouldn't move. Instead, I hid behind a street pole, watching in silence as they walked past me. Every step they took together felt like a knife in my chest. Every smile they shared was another crack in Hannah's world. My fists clenched. Tears filled my eyes, blurring their figures as they disappeared into the crowd. I whispered to myself, broken and helpless. Hannah, how do I make you see? How do I make you believe me before it's too late? I stood frozen, my heart racing, as Michael and the woman strolled down the street. Her hand rested lightly on his arm, their laughter blending with the noise of the crowd. I couldn't just watch this time. I needed proof. With trembling hands, I pulled out my phone. My fingers shook so hard I almost dropped it. I raised it slowly, hiding it close to my chest, the screen glowing faintly. The camera focused, blurry at first, until their faces came into view. Michael's arm around her waist. Her smile. His eyes, full of love that wasn't for my sister. I held my breath and pressed the button. Click. The sound was small, but it felt deafening in the crowded street. For a terrifying moment, Michael turned his head slightly, as if he sensed eyes on him. I froze, lowering the phone quickly, my heart pounding in my ears. But he didn't see me. He just kept walking, his hand never leaving hers. I looked down at my screen, my chest tight. The picture was clear. The truth was there. Proof of his betrayal. Tears welled up, blurring the image, but I saved it quickly, clutching the phone like it was a weapon. For the first time, I felt a small spark of hope. Maybe now Hannah would believe me. That night, I sat alone in my apartment. The photo glowed on my phone screen, sharp and undeniable. Michael, with her. I stared at it for a long time, my tears dripping onto the glass. This was it. The proof Hannah needed. The proof that could save her. My fingers shook as I typed. Hannah, please. I didn't want to hurt you. But I saw him again. This time I took a picture. Please, look at it. Please believe me. I attached the photo and pressed send. My heart pounded in the silence that followed. The 3 little dots appeared. Hannah was typing. I held my breath, my whole body trembling. And then her reply appeared on the screen. Chloe, stop this. This picture means nothing. You're twisting things. You're lying. I dropped the phone onto my lap, my mouth falling open in disbelief. More messages came through. Why are you doing this to me? Michael loves me. He told me you'd try to turn me against him. You're not protecting me, you're destroying me. The words burned into me, sharper than knives. My tears blurred the screen until I could no longer read. I whispered to myself, broken. No. Hannah, I'm not your enemy. I'm your sister. I'm only trying to save you. But her silence after that was louder than all her anger. I sat frozen, the glow of the phone burning against my tear-stained face. Hannah's messages replayed in my mind like echoes I couldn't escape. I whispered to myself, she doesn't believe me, she really thinks I'm lying. And then another message appeared. Her words were short, cold, final. Stay away from us. My chest collapsed. The phone slipped from my trembling hands, landing on the floor with a dull thud. I stared into the silence of my apartment, my heart breaking in ways I had never known. The bond we had since childhood. Our promises, our laughter, our trust. All of it shattered in that one line. I picked up the phone again, my fingers shaking, desperate to type back. Hannah, please, I love you. Please don't do this. But I couldn't press send. Because I knew she wouldn't answer. Her heart was closed. Her choice was made. I curled into myself on the couch, the darkness wrapping around me. And through my sobs, one truth tore through me again and again. I had tried to protect my sister. But in her eyes, I had become the enemy. As I lay curled on the couch, Hannah's last message echoing in my mind. Stay away from us. My heart drifted back to a different time. A time when Hannah was my protector. I was 12, sitting in the corner of our schoolyard. A group of older girls surrounded me, their voices sharp with laughter. They accused me of something I hadn't done, pointing fingers, calling me names. I remember my face burning with shame, my eyes filling with tears. No one believed me. No one stood by me. Until Hannah arrived. She stepped in front of me, her voice fierce, her eyes blazing with anger. Leave her alone. She's my sister, and she's telling the truth. The girls hesitated, then scattered under Hannah's glare. She turned back to me, kneeling down, wiping my tears with her sleeve. Chloe, don't cry. I'll always stand with you. I'll always believe you. That moment burned into my soul. Her words had been my strength, my shield. Back then, her trust was unshakable. And now, years later, the same sister who once defended me, now called me a liar. The contrast crushed me, leaving me breathless. And I whispered into the emptiness. Hannah, what happened to us? The memory of Hannah's voice, "I'll always believe you," faded into the silence of my apartment. I sat alone, clutching my phone like it was the only piece of her I had left. But all it gave me was pain. My tears wouldn't stop. They poured down my face, hot and endless, soaking into my sleeves. My chest felt hollow, as if a part of me had been ripped away. I whispered into the empty room, my voice trembling. "How could you, Hannah? How could you choose him over me? Over us?" Every corner of the apartment felt cold. Every shadow reminded me of her words. "Stay away from us." The betrayal cut deeper than anything Michael had done. Because Michael was only her husband. But Hannah was my sister. My blood. My other half. And now, she saw me not as family, but as a liar. The bond that once held us together. Promises from childhood, memories of laughter, nights of whispered secrets. All of it felt broken. I buried my face into my hands, sobbing until my body ached. And for the first time in my life, I wondered if I had already lost my sister forever. That night, the world outside my window was quiet. The city lights flickered far away, but inside my room, there was only darkness. I lay curled on my bed, clutching my pillow as if it could hold me together. But nothing could stop the breaking inside my chest. Tears streamed down my face, soaking into the fabric. My body shook with every sob, my breath catching like it was too heavy to carry. The silence pressed down on me until I couldn't bear it anymore. So I whispered into the dark, my voice broken and trembling. "I tried to protect you, Hannah. I did everything I could. Why couldn't you see that? Why couldn't you believe me?" The words echoed back in the stillness, as if the walls themselves carried my pain. I clutched the blanket tighter, wishing Hannah could hear me. Wishing she would walk through the door, wipe my tears, and say she trusted me again. But all that came was silence. Heavy, cruel silence. And in that silence, my love for my sister felt like both a blessing and a curse. Because I would always try to protect her. Even if it destroyed me. Weeks passed like years. Every day I hoped for her call. Every night I prayed for her forgiveness. But nothing came. Until one evening. A knock echoed through my apartment. Soft at first, then louder. I hesitated, my heart racing. Who could it be at this hour? I opened the door slowly. And there she was. Hannah. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen from crying. She looked nothing like the smiling sister I remembered. Her shoulders shook as tears slid down her cheeks. "Chloe," she whispered, her voice breaking. And before I could even speak, she collapsed into my arms. I held her tight, my heart pounding with both fear and relief. Her sobs soaked into my shirt, her body trembling like a child's. "You were right," she cried. "You were right about Michael." My breath caught. The words I had been dying to hear finally came. But hearing them didn't bring joy. It only brought pain. Because it meant my sister's heart had been shattered. I stroked her hair gently, whispering, "I told you because I love you. I just wanted to protect you." Her grip tightened around me, desperate and broken. And for the first time in weeks, I felt my sister in my arms again. Hannah clung to me, her sobs echoing in the quiet apartment. I held her tighter, afraid if I let go, she might shatter completely. Finally, she pulled back just enough to look at me. Her face was pale, her lips trembling. Tears streamed endlessly down her cheeks. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "I saw him, Chloe. I saw Michael, with her." The words tore through her like glass. Her knees weakened, and I guided her to the couch, my hands steadying her as she trembled. She buried her face in her hands. "I followed him last night. I thought maybe you were wrong. I wanted to prove you wrong." Her sobs grew heavier, her body shaking. "But you weren't. He was with her." Laughing. Holding her like I never existed. I reached for her hands, pulling them gently away from her face. Her eyes met mine, red, broken, full of regret. "I'm so sorry, Chloe," she cried. "I should have believed you. You tried to save me, and I pushed you away. I called you a liar, when all you wanted was to protect me." My tears joined hers, my voice trembling. "You're my sister, Hannah. I would never lie to you. I would never hurt you." We sat there, holding each other, our tears mixing into the silence. And in that moment, truth had finally broken through. But it had come with the cost of Hannah's heart. Hannah leaned into me, her tears still flowing. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Please forgive me, Chloe. I should have trusted you. I should have remembered that you've always been on my side." I stroked her hair gently, my own tears falling just as fast. "There's nothing to forgive. You're my sister. I'll always protect you, even if it costs me everything." She clutched me tighter, sobbing into my shoulder like the little girl I once promised to protect. For the first time in weeks, I felt my sister's heart beating against mine again. But deep inside, I knew things would never be the same. Because some wounds leave scars too deep to vanish. The words she once threw at me, "You're jealous. You're lying. Stay away from us," still lived inside me, like shadows that time could not erase. As Hannah cried in my arms, I looked past her, into the silence of the night. And my voice whispered in the depth of my soul. I tried to protect my sister, but she called me a liar. And even now, though she knows the truth, I wonder if she'll ever truly see me the same again. The lights dimmed, the world outside quiet. And the story ended not with victory, but with the fragile truth between two sisters, trying to mend what had been broken.